Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Coco and this is Sophie. Today we are starting a new reading vlog, but this one is special because it's got a challenge and it is also somewhat themed. I'm not huge on the commercialization of Valentine's Day, but I do love a romance book and I do love pink and red and all the cute girly colors, hence my chair. So in this vlog, we're going to be reading romance books. But we're not just going to be reading romance books. I'm going to be reading romance books until I find a 5-star. This video is not going to end until I find a 5-star romance book. I've read some pretty good romances lately, but not anything that has been absolutely incredible. So I want to change that. What is a better way to do that than giving myself a challenge? So I've got a stack of 3 books here, but the first one that I want to talk about is not in this stack. The first one I'm going to be reading is The Neighbor Favor. This is by Kristina Forrest, and it's about these 2 neighbors, obviously. The female protagonist, her name is Lily, and she wants to be a children's book editor, but she's been stuck in another department, just really not having her career move, and enlists help as this author that she has been corresponding with for a long time. She's trying to get advice from him, and little does she know that he lives right next door to her. So seems like it's gonna be a really cute romance. I love bookish books. I love books about books and writers and readers. So bookworm books are right up my alley. I also have these 3. I'm not gonna super go deep into them unless I end up needing to read these, which it'd be amazing if I finish one book and it's a 5-star, but we'll see. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to my romance. So I have Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. That is one of Julie Soto's angsty romance books. I think it's about a florist and a wedding planner. I question if it's maybe based off of the Wedding Planner movie. Who knows? The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love. This is supposedly kind of similar to Emily Wilde, or if you like the Deanna Raybourn series, which I don't, but it's a fantasy and they're ornithologists, fantastical ornithologists. It's about a woman and a guy who end up paired up together somehow on this field expedition. And then The Love Hypothesis, that everyone knows what this is. It's by Hazelwood. It's a STEM romance. I also have a couple of other ones up my sleeve in case I end up having to DNF a lot, which I really hope I don't. Those are the 4 that I'm going to start with. We'll see if I end up having to read all of them. But The Neighbor Favor, I'm really excited about because I love a book about bookworms and I just want bookworms to find love. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so yes, I am sitting in the exact same spot that I was. I have gotten up, I promise. I did some work for my human-computer interaction class for school, and I also have been playing a video game. I've been playing Trading Card Game Simulator and listening to The Neighbor Favor. This is interesting. So far, I think, how far am I into it? 14%. So I truly wish that I had this physically. First, I want to talk about what I do like about it so far. So it's split up into different sections. There's a prologue, and then that's more just, I think, setting up backstory for our main characters, which I think that the author did pretty well. Part 1 is the emails, and part 2 is real life. And I'm on my iPad, so if you're wondering what I'm looking at, that's why. So part 1, it's truly just epistolary. They're just sending emails back and forth. In the prologue, she was on the train. She lives in New York, and Lily was on the train, and she was delirious because it was hot and the air conditioning was broken and the train had stopped and she was about to pass out, and she found the email of the author that she loved over the last few years. He finally had an email and a website. She fell in love with his book. It was a fantasy book about black elves that she happened upon when she was working at a bookstore, which I think is really cute. She kept trying to find out more information about him, and he never really had anything on the internet about him as an author. It was N.R. Strickland was his pen name, I guess. He ends up responding back eventually, obviously. That's what this book is based upon. They email each other back and forth and they're friends. I won't go much further into it as to what happens while they're emailing, but the second part is in real life, where I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I don't know what happened. But I do have some thoughts, some really good thoughts, and some things that I don't super love, and some of this is strictly about the audiobook. I really, really wish I had a physical or e-book copy of this, because I really don't like the male narrator's cadence when he's talking. It was a little bit worse in the prologue. It felt like he was reading something to you rather than narrating it. I really enjoyed the narrator's voice and it's really pleasant to listen to, but just the cadence of how he was talking, it was like everything was the end of a paragraph, if that makes sense. It felt like everything was given the same amount of depth and importance, which I don't feel like happens in natural speaking, natural cadence. And I don't see the narrator of the female main character having the same issue, so I don't understand it. And it is set in New York, which I don't super love stories that are set in New York. I don't know why. I just personally don't love being in certain big cities. I don't like being in big cities in general. Like, I love the idea of going to a big city and experiencing it, but jostling and trying to travel in a giant city and stuff, it bothers me, so I don't usually love to read about it. But so far it's not really, except for the first part where she was stuck on the subway. It didn't really feel much like New York, not in a bad way. It's just very epistolary, so she's just telling him what's happening in her life at her job. He's telling her where all his travels are, where he's going, because he's a travel writer, which I do really love that part. I think it's really interesting hearing about little snippets of all these different places that he's been as they're talking to each other through emails. The other thing is Lily, the narrator for Lily, says lol instead of LOL when they're doing like the emails. She says lol out loud instead of LOL, and that is so cringy to me. But otherwise, it's making it sound like I don't like this book. I do enjoy this book. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star. I don't think we're going to end off this video with the first book that I'm reading being a 5-star, unfortunately. I'm only 15% of the way through, so that could change, but I also feel like there's certain things, mostly about this audiobook, that are making me not love it. But I'm really interested in seeing what the part 2 real life is going to be like. I mean, I'm engaged in this book. It's interesting. Judging by how quickly I'm getting through this, I might end up finishing this book today, and then we can try for the next one being a 5-star. Either way, I'm enjoying myself. Sorry if there's a little bit of a jump scare here with my dark circles, but it is 7:55 in the morning. And I did want to give you a little bit of a quick update. I did a lot of listening to the audiobook of The Neighbor Favor yesterday. I do have a couple of notes. What's up, girly? Hi. So I'm just going to talk about those before I start working on my homework for school, which I'll probably bring you along a little bit for that too. It's not super exciting. Apart from the things I was talking about yesterday, it has progressed a lot, and some of the questions that I had were answered a little bit. It's still very interesting, and I'm still interested in how the story's going to go. I'm still not a huge fan of the male narrator. Generally, I have a problem with, I don't love how men narrate women. I know that they can't help it, and their voice is deep, and I just like, certain times of it, I'm like, you're either making her sound like a child or like she is immature. I don't know. It just bothers me. It's not really his fault, but I also just don't think I'm a huge fan of that narrator. They did mention N.K. Jemison's books, which I love that was brought up a couple different times, because N.K. Jemisin is one of my favorite like sci-fi fantasy authors. She is very good at what she does, and she is a Black woman, which I think is really cool, and I love that our characters get to have that representation. I do think that certain things within this book feel a little bit too insta-lovey. I know it's a weird situation because they technically knew each other from sending emails back and forth, but they don't know that they knew each other. So certain situations that they're getting into, I'm like, that would not happen with a man that you just met, especially the way that Lily has been represented. She's pretty shy and is not very take charge. So some of the situations we see her get into with Nick, would that happen even if you were an extrovert? I'm not sure. Lily's boss, I forget what her name is. Edith? She's quite she's archaic is what I'm going to say. She regularly laments how she misses when people had to send in physical manuscripts, and she has Lily print out her emails every morning. She has Lily help her remember how to attach a document to an email, which I love it in the book. It's great, but it also makes me so angry because there's been situations where there's been like bosses or leaders, not anything recently, like not at libraries or anything that I've worked at, but when I had spent my time in call centers. It's like, you make so much more money than me and you can't even open a PDF. What is happening here? So yeah, that's really way too relatable. I feel so bad for how much Lily hates her job and how other people in her field are getting promoted and she's not, and she probably deserves it. So I really hope that storyline pans out with her getting her due. I'm not going to tell you if she did because that would be a spoiler, but yeah, I don't know. I like Lily as a character. Lily's fun. Her sisters are cool. I think it's like one of those interconnected standalones, so I'm pretty sure there's books about her sisters finding love too, which is cool. And yeah, Nick is very self-deprecating, and that's part of the reason why he's like not letting himself get close to Lily. I understand that. I feel that, where like you feel like you're not good enough for things, but it is a little bit too much. I don't know. I need to stop yapping and go do my human computer interaction schoolwork. I did some studying for my assignment yesterday, and now that it's in my brain, I'm gonna finish it out, and then we'll listen and hopefully finish The Neighbor Favor. So sorry for the glare on my glasses, but I get vertigo if I don't wear them. So it is what it is. I did end up finishing my human computer interaction assignment, which took me maybe like 2 hours to do. I have another assignment due for my library science class, but I'm gonna let myself play a video game and listen to my book and try and get farther in the book, because I'm almost halfway through and I want to finish this today, I think, because I don't think it's going to be a 5-star. So we're going to be continuing on in this video, and we have some stuff to do tonight, but I need to get my assignments done before we do that. I don't want to be doing stuff last minute on Sunday. I'm surprisingly hot in this room. I think it's just my computer being on, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and I'm under a blanket, and I need to fix one of those, but I love this sweatshirt. So I'm gonna wear it. I'll catch up with you once I've read some more, because my brain is fried right now and I haven't read any more, so I can't even really talk to you about it, but I'll catch up with you very, very soon. All right, so Matt and I are driving up north towards Cleveland to hang out with a friend, and I ended up listening to more of The Neighbor Favor. I'm about 67% of the way through now. I don't really have much else to say. I have been getting a little bit bored. Halfway through is when I started getting a little bit bored, and I feel like it's slow moving, but not in a slow burn type of way, just in like, I feel like nothing's happening. I had some notes written down, but I don't have my iPad with me, and I don't remember everything that I said. But if there's anything that I'm missing when I do my final review of this book, I'll let you know. So far it's still pretty enjoyable. I would possibly continue reading more from this author. I'll save that judgment for the end of the book, but so far it's just okay. I don't really have many other thoughts, except I wish some things would actually happen. It's a lot of talking about what is going to happen or what they want to do or any of that without actually doing it. So I do like the little slice of life bits where we learn what Lily's dynamic with her sisters is like and how she interacts with her family, but other than that, I am a little bit bored, unfortunately. I really wanted to like this book, and it's just okay right now. So I'll let you know if anything changes. I'm now at the berries and cream stage of growing my hair out. I just showered, so ignore if my hair is still wet. I finished The Neighbor Favor. Chair won't stop turning. But unfortunately, my thoughts have not really changed that much regarding how I feel about this book. I feel as if Nick would have gone to therapy, then this entire book could have been avoided. I do want to talk about the pros and cons and just like some final thoughts that I have and let you know what my rating is. So I do think it started out strong. I liked the epistolary part of it, although I do wish that it would have been spread out between like the entire book, kind of like in a You've Got Mail kind of way. It was completely separated from emails to then real life, and I found that a little bit weird. I feel like beginning emails at the beginning of like each chapter or like interspersed in between might have been a better idea, and I think it might have worked better that way. I do want to say I might give a little bit of mild spoilers just because there's certain things that I don't like about this book. I want to be able to give you context for. Nick was constantly self-deprecating, and not to the point where it's like quirky. It's to the point where he's doing these toxic things because he's being self-deprecating and feeling like he's not good enough. He didn't cheat on her, but it reminds me of the guy who's like, my girlfriend cheated on me in high school, so now I'm gonna cheat on you and I'm gonna be really toxic, and you know, I'm love bombing you and gaslighting you because I got cheated on in high school when they haven't been in high school in like 20 years. That's what his behavior reminds me of, and it went on for way too long. Him lying to Lily. I wanted to root for Lily so bad. I rooted for her. I did not root for Nick at all because I felt like his reasoning for the way he was acting and the decisions that he made was just very flimsy, and I just wasn't a fan of him at all. I also did not like the way that the narrator narrated him. Sorry, my dog is just being anxious because Matt just left and she is looking for him. She thinks he's coming back inside. He is going to the store. But I really liked Lily, so she's the reason why this isn't like a 1.5, but I could not stand Nick. I didn't like the way his voice was narrated and the way that the narrator also did women's voices. It's weird because like certain voices he spoke normally, but then he had a weird cadence when it was supposed to be Nick. I don't know. It was just not. The side characters were very flat, I felt like, and the pacing itself was really off. I think there could have been some things done to kind of move things around to make the pacing better. I feel like this might have been like a good first draft of a book, but should not have been what was published. Like I think that the author has potential, but I don't think it was met, if that makes sense, with this book. And I feel really bad about it because the author seems like she's got really good potential, and I just don't think this was executed that well. So the pros of this is I was rooting for Lily. I did like that it was epistolary. N.K. Jemisin was mentioned, although there was a lot of name dropping of different authors, not necessarily like the characters knew the authors, but like, oh yeah, I love this book by this author, and it didn't flow in the story except for maybe the N.K. Jemisin one. I love that there was representation of like Black sci-fi authors within a book written by a Black woman. I think that's great. Some of the other ones, it was just like they talked about, it didn't actually have anything to do with the story other than the author saying like this character likes this book. Ella Enchanted was one of them. It didn't really add anything to the story, so I don't know why it was there. I liked Lily. She was fun. The cons, like I said, Nick is obnoxious. He feels like a toxic man who blames the way he acts on ridiculous things from a really long time ago when he just needs to go to therapy. It's so repetitive. Like, that's one thing I haven't mentioned yet. It is so repetitive. I think it could have been done better, and I think this specific author could do better. I'm so sorry. I did not love it. I'm giving it, I think, a 2.5. It didn't offend me. I just probably wouldn't have finished it if it wasn't on audio. If I had a physical copy of this book, I probably would have DNF'd it about halfway through. We're gonna go on to the next book. I was gonna start The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, but I either think I'm gonna do The Love Hypothesis, or I just got my hold for The Devil She Knows by Alexandria Bellefleur, which is a sapphic romance, and I am feeling like this lineup is a little bit too straight for me. So I think I'm gonna read the first chapter of both of them and let you guys know which book I decide to read next. made a decision. I am reading The Devil She Knows first because it seems like it's a pretty short book. It seems really cute. I like the cover. It's pink and adorable, and I think the premise sounds really fun. It's a girl who is basically making a deal with the devil, who's also a hot blonde woman, to, I don't know if she's trying to get back at her girlfriends or get with her ex-girlfriend. The book starts out with her getting rejected by her girlfriend when she tries to propose to her. It's so cringy, but I can't wait to see what happens, and it's ended on a cliffhanger for the first chapter. So yeah, we're gonna read that and see how it goes. And then I think I'm gonna read Love Hypothesis next, or Forget Me Not. Well, I'm a little bit worried that Forget Me Not is gonna just be like the wedding planner, but in book form. So we'll see. Also, when I was growing my hair out before, when I had longer hair, I had bangs. I'll insert a picture. Let me know if I should get those again, because I feel very much like a 90s floppy haired boy right now. I don't know if it's long enough for me to get bangs again. Probably not, but I don't like seeing this much of my forehead. Let me know if I should get bangs, if you think I would look good with them. I'm gonna read and I'll let you know how it goes. Are you gonna help me do an update? Do you hear someone outside? You've got a 1,000-yard stare going on. Okay, so I am about 18% of the way through The Devil She Knows, and our main character is Sam. She works at this fancy restaurant, and the main reason that she works there is because her girlfriend at the time was pushing her to do more and more and be better and better. And at the beginning of the book, we see Sam proposing to her girlfriend, and it doesn't end up going very well. She's really not having a good time of things, and she ends up going home. Don't worry, this is all like in the very, very beginning. I am not spoiling anything, and I'm pretty sure this is in the synopsis. She ends up getting in the elevator to go back to her apartment after being rejected, and comes across a woman who is saying that she's going to make her an offer that she won't want to refuse. This woman is very creepy and weird, and it's getting Sam's hackles up. And she learns that this woman named Daphne is actually a demon, and she's trying to make a deal for her soul. Sam wants to try and get her girlfriend back. That's where I'm at right now. That's pretty much the premise of this. She's going to try and sell her soul to get her girl back and try and live happily ever after. Even though it seems like Hannah, her ex-girlfriend, might not be the best person for her and might not be a good person in general. It's funny because I was having such a hard time with the last book and just feeling like it would never end. And I'm already 18% of the way through this. I don't know how many pages this one is. Let me see. Because I have it on Kobo and it's percentages and not pages. 322. So it's a normal like romance novel length. But I'm flying through this book so far. I did take some time to take a nap and also work on the pulled pork that I'm making, which I'll show you once it's done because so far it's turning out really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's got mixed ratings on Storygraph, but I kind of like that these days because reading is so subjective that it could be something that I love or I could agree with the other people who didn't super love it. So I'm really curious as to how it's going to pan out. We'll see how it goes. There's other books that I rated high that have lower ratings, and there's other books that are like 4.5s on Storygraph, and I don't understand why. Hence my last video where I didn't understand the hype for a lot of these books, but I'm liking this one so far. It's still very early on, so I could end up with the same issues that other people are having, which I haven't looked into yet because I want to figure that out myself. Yeah, BBO is probably the best option then. What do you think?
Very good.
I got my iPad here. You know what that means? An update. So I did get about halfway through The Devil She Knows, and wow, I look very blue. Okay, hold on. I'm about halfway through and I'm still really liking it so far. It's a really quick read. I do really like, Sam is not a pushover. Like Daphne is a literal demon. So she is very tricky. Like when Daphne does her wishes, you know it's not going to be straightforward. And it's really interesting and kind of funny to watch what kind of shenanigans that she gets up to because of her wishes. So I really like that premise. I think it's really fun and kind of very unique for a romance book. I'm still not sure where the romance comes in because Hannah is a horrible person and I don't think that Sam should be wanting to be with her, but I understand where she's coming from. It's like that toxic ex that doesn't actually want the best for you, but you're still in love with them. They're emotionally abusive and that type of stuff. I've had that in the past. Obviously I've healed from that since, but I understand that a lot of people still deal with that. But it is really frustrating to see Sam not value herself. Like she does everything for Hannah and like even when Hannah doesn't want her. And it's just really frustrating. It is realistic, I feel like. Hannah just doesn't give a shit about her. I do think it's interesting, the dichotomy of Sam being, like, standing up for herself, especially with Daphne, who is the demon, and not standing up for herself when she's in any sort of situation with Hannah. It's just really interesting to see that dichotomy. So I'm curious as to how that's going to pan out. And for some reason, I've only watched a few episodes of this show, but it really kind of reminds me of Has Been Hotel, which has to do with like people in a hotel in hell. Really? So far, I'm still not really understanding why the average rating of this book is so low. I don't know if maybe they were expecting the love story to be between her and Hannah. I don't really see a love story yet, even halfway through, but I do really like the banter between Daphne and Sam. It's really fun and really interesting, and it's a very entertaining book so far. I don't know if it's going to be a 5 yet, but I am liking it a lot. Morning. I'm really honestly not sure what my hair is doing today, but I have nothing to temper it, so we're doing our Janet impression again. But I did finish The Devil She Knows, and I didn't take many notes towards the last half of the book, but I do think that I really still enjoyed the way that it played out. I understand where people come from when they say that it's much too quick of a timeline, which is why I am giving it a 4.25 instead of a 5. I really thought this might be a 5. We really didn't get to see a lot of development towards the end. I really did like the story the entire time, and it was entertaining the entire time. I thought it was fun. I thought it was better than some other romances and worse than others, I guess. It entertained me. I liked the romance aspect of it, and I liked kind of the message that it gave about loving yourself and caring for yourself and not changing yourself for other people. So 4.25, unfortunately, it's not a 5, but also kind of fortunately, because I was like, what if this video ends when I've only read 2 books? So it was pretty much a success. So I flew through The Devil She Knows, especially compared to Neighbor Favor, unfortunately. I feel like I was really intrigued by the love hypothesis when I read the first chapter of it. So I'm just going to continue with that. And then if this one's not a 5, I don't know, maybe we'll do Isn't It Obvious? Or maybe we'll do The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love. I'm not sure. I found out yesterday that both of my professors for the 2 classes I have tomorrow are going to be at a high school talking to some high school students about design. So I don't have class for either of those, which was nice because I thought I was going to be going just to like my 3:45 to 5 o'clock class and not my other one, but they're both going to be gone. So I love my professors. They're great, but I am really glad that I have kind of a really, really extended weekend because I can do as much reading as I want. I do have some homework that I'm going to have to get done. I think Matt and I are going to go to the coffee shop today, but I only have one class today, and it's my internship prep class, so it's really low-key, and she's probably going to do like a quick presentation and then ask us if we have any questions. I've been working on my designed resume in that class, which for designers, you want to have a little bit of a design resume. I know in like a lot of resume experts will be like, don't design your resume all fancy, but as a UX designer, you want to show your portfolio a little bit, even through your resume. So you don't want to over design it, but it does have to look aesthetically pleasing. I'm also wearing my new shirt that I got. That was a pre-order from Transfigure Print Co., which is one of my favorites. Not sponsored, I wish. It says, "We keep us safe, pro-community, anti-fascist," and I love broadcasting that, so I'm really excited about this shirt, and I really just like the colors and the composition while we're talking about design. I think the design of this is really good. So I look a little bit less like Janet with my glasses off, but my eyesight's getting worse, so I actually have to wear them. I have to run some errands after class, and then I might get some schoolwork done before Matt gets home, but definitely once Matt gets home, we're going to the coffee shop, and I'm going to do some of my coding homework, I think. Also, I'm really excited because I ordered a monitor. I have a monitor for my desktop already, but it was just a hand-me-down from Matt, and it's several years old. And it also is not the true colors. I've noticed when I'm on my MacBook versus when I'm on that, like I can't do any of my design work while I'm on my desktop because I can, but I'm going to have to check it on my MacBook because it doesn't show the true colors of anything that I'm designing. So I am going to be in design, so I went ahead and bought that for school and for after. I think I'm going to go into the building or go past it and maybe get some food. I don't know. I'm very hungry and I didn't eat anything earlier, so I'm going to go. I'll catch up with you guys maybe once I've started the love hypothesis. I did do that first chapter, so, well, that was the prologue. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, once I'm a little bit into love hypothesis, I'll let you know my first impressions. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I did DNF Love Theoretically. It's just a little bit too Wattpad for me. It's not really my thing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try one more book. And this one I think could really get me and could be a 5-star because it is Sharkheart and it is about two newlyweds. And in this version of our world, there's just some sort of malady that sometimes happens where people turn into other animals. And our main character, the two main characters, the husband, the newlywed husband, has gotten a diagnosis that he's going to turn into a great white shark over the next year or so. And I've heard that this is an allegory for chronic illness or becoming disabled. And I am chronically ill and technically disabled. So I think this might get me and I think I might really like it. So I'm going to read that. And if for some reason this doesn't work out, I'm sorry. I'm ending the video because I can only read so many romance books or DNF so many romance books. I like them. I think I had a good time with The Devil She Knows. And if that's the last good book that I read for this video, unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be. But I have a feeling that this is going to be a good book for me. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading Sharkheart and let you know how it goes. And we're either going to find out if I'm DNFing or if I'm going to continue and really enjoy this book. So wish me luck. Guys, I'm throwing in the towel. I know when to do so. I tried Sharkheart also. I got 9% of the way into this book and I just literally cannot do it. And I don't know why my face is so red. I apologize. This is too nonlinear. I like the premise of it, like a man is literally turning into a shark, but I got a couple red flags with the way that women are portrayed in this. It's like, Emily or whatever her name was not too blah, 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 and didn't care about things, so that's why I loved her, and she didn't threaten my artistry, so we worked well together because she's not an artist, so I don't have to answer to her. It was weird, didn't love it, and I can't do 2 DNFs in a row and then try and read another book. I want to get this video out for you guys. I think I did pretty well with The Devil She Knows, and I don't want to end up in a reading slump, so this is a little anticlimactic, but we're going to end here because I need to keep my sanity, and I think I did close enough. I got a 4.25 with The Devil She Knows, so I'm happy with having found a book that I liked in this vlog. This will be up before Valentine's Day for you guys. So sorry if you're disappointed, but it is what it is, and I cannot read any more romance books right now. I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and spending some time reading some romance books while also trying to juggle school and everything else going on in my life. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed and you enjoy my content. Let me know what your favorite romance book is or what romance books that you're wanting to read pretty soon. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!